Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. I'm Pat from Pat's Path Predictor and we have a lot to cover today. So please bear with me. We got 3 slight risk days in a row as well as another day for 15% outlook. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Alright, so this is the situation we have right here. There's a slight risk issue for parts of the tip of southeast Kansas, tip of southwest Missouri, as well as most of east and central Oklahoma right here, including Norman right, and Oklahoma City. Fort Sill is out of that, so yeah, that's there. The marginal risk goes all the way from Oklahoma down up to St. Louis, and the generic thunderstorms are everywhere else. Now let's go ahead and, actually before we go to read the synopsis, let's look at the risks. The tornado risk is still 2%, so not the big concern. The wind threat is still at 15%, so that no change right there. The hail threat, though, it's still 15%, but look at this. There's now a hatched area, which means there is a 15% great or probability of 2-inch hail or larger within 25 miles, so a point right there. The rest of that is that 15.5% right there, but that's the major change right here. We could see larger hail with these thunderstorms. So let's go ahead and read the summary and synopsis. There's a slight risk of thunderstorms over portions of central and eastern Oklahoma into the western Ozarks region. Summary: the greatest severe weather threat for today and this evening appears to be over portions of central and eastern Oklahoma into the western Ozarks regions, where up to a few supercells with hail, isolated severe gusts, and a tornado are possible. Synopsis: a progressive and near zonal upper air pattern will persist through the period over most of the continental United States, perpetuated mainly through the modest troughing extended southward from the cyclone over the south SK and eastern QC. The SK cyclone will or trough will move eastward to the northward Ontario and parts of the upper Great Lakes through the period. To its south, a shortwave trough, initially over eastern Colorado and northeastern New Mexico, will move eastward into western Missouri and northern Arkansas by 0Z, which is about 7 o'clock. Actually, no, it's about 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time. This feature should pivot southeastward into the Tennessee Valley by 12Z. The forecast further west. Heights will fall as flowbacks to the southwesterly west of the Rockies overnight and advance to the major synoptic cyclone trough, located over the northeast Pacific. Leading shortwave propagation evident of a moisture channel imagery of 200 and 250 nautical miles northeastward in a short today, followed by several smaller perturbations short of the DCVA cooling aloft. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff right here. The dry line was drawn from the Kansas low across the Texas Panhandle, extreme southeastern New Mexico, and Big Bend region of Texas. The dry line should sharpen today as strong heating mixing occurs to its west, with continued moist advection to its east. By 0Z, or about 7 o'clock, the dry line should extend from a frontal intersection over northeastern Oklahoma, southwestward over south central Oklahoma and western Texas. The dry line should retreat to the Permian Basin in Texas or in western Oklahoma overnight. So this is it right here. Oklahoma to Kansas to the mid-Mississippi Valley. Isolated to widely scattered thunderstorms are possible this afternoon into early evening. Any sustained convection will be an environment supporting supercell development, with large damaging hail possible along with isolated severe gusts. A tornado also cannot be ruled out, but given the persistent discrete supercell, this is because of the substantial increase of moist sector hydrograph size and effective SRH forecast occurring during the brief time window around and after 0Z, before the near surface static stability becomes too large to sustain a surface-based inflow. As surface dew points increase into the low or to mid-60s Fahrenheit, and heating occurs behind the shortwave trough, peak preconvective cape in the 2,000 to 2,500 joules per kilogram range is expected. That's 2,000 to 2,500. That's a pretty considerable environment right there for instability. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. This is the 21Z run for today, which is about 4 o'clock today. In fact, even beforehand, it gets there. By by 2 o'clock, there's areas already of around 2 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. There's even areas cracking 3,000 right here, and in the next 2 hours, like right here, we have a very long area of 3,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE right here, like 3,000 to 3,500, even cracking 3,500 in some areas, 3,800, and then this area right here, yeah, we have a very large area of 3,000 right here. So yeah, I'll be keeping it. Oh wait, we just cracked 4,000. Hold on, let me try. Okay, there it is. We're cracking 4,000 right here. So that's how conducive the environment is, ladies and gentlemen. We are cracking 4,000, and as you can see, it really doesn't taper off until after 7 or 8 o'clock. So yeah, those few hours are going to be good for development. So yeah, as long as that if that cap is not too strong, it's gonna basically just, we could see a lot of thunderstorms from that. Okay, yeah, and at least a narrow corridor ahead of the front of the dry line in southern and northeast Oklahoma, and perhaps extreme southeastern Kansas. Veering of the mid to upper flow behind the shortwave trough will act to enhance the deep shear somewhat, with effective shear magnitudes in the 50 to 60 knot range forecast. The main uncertainty is not a trivial one. It is whether and what numbers or sustained thunderstorms can form near the front and dry line this afternoon. Considerable variability remains in synoptic and convection, allowing guidance regarding convected timing, density, and initiation location this afternoon and evening over the slight area. Based on planar surface progs and forecast soundings from various models, this is related in large part of two factors. One, weak but consistent large-scale subsidence behind the early shortwave trough, and two, differences in heating and mixing on both sides of the dry line, which will influence influence amount of low-level lift and on mesoscale positioning on the dry line itself. Convective scale forcing is the most likely to maximize near the dry line and cold front intersection, whose probable position at the time of consensus weakest moist sector MLC INH around 22 to 23 Z, which is about 5 to 6 o'clock, should be between Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Additional convection may develop as along the front of the northeast into the southwestern Kansas as well. Elevated thunderstorms are also expected into this evening into tonight over the Ozarks towards parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley, with marginal hail being the main concern. Alright, so that's the severe risk for day one. Now let's go ahead and go on to day two right here. We'll go ahead. This is gonna be a while, so yeah, this is the slight risk right here. As you can see, it encompasses most of eastern Kansas right here, including Kansas City, Wichita, those areas, affecting a population 3.3 million right there, almost. So yeah, definitely not kidding around. Let's go ahead and look at the tornado threat. There's a 5% risk of tornadoes in this area, including Wichita right here, this small area. In the wind threat, the wind threat's the least amount of threat, actually. It's only 5% in this very broad area, including cities like Wichita, Kansas City, Omaha, Lincoln, those areas. But it does impact 6 million people, so yeah, the largest threat is the hail threat, 15% in that hatched area, which once again means 2-inch hail or more within 25 miles of a point, so please keep that in mind. And with that being said, let's get into the summary. There's a slight risk of severe thunderstorms late Thursday afternoon and evening across parts of the northwestern Oklahoma, central and eastern Kansas, and southeastern Nebraska and west central Missouri. Summary: a few severe thunderstorms are possible across parts of the central Great Plains late Thursday afternoon to Thursday night, posing a risk for large hail and perhaps a couple of tornadoes. Synopsis: recent model runs have trended a bit more amplified with the evolving mid to upper flow across the United States during this period. Large-scale troughing within the primary belt of westerlies emanating from the mid-level Pacific is forecast to continue progressing inland across the Pacific coast, with one significant embedded shortwave impulse digging across the California coast before pivoting into the lower Colorado Valley by 12Z Friday. Downstream, the latest ensemble output of various models appears to develop more prominent mid-level height across the eastern Gulf states than earlier runs, with broad ridging also building up along an axis in the northwest of the center from the lower Mississippi Valley into the eastern Canadian prairies. As this occurs, a downstream trough progressing over the east of the to the east, of the upper Great Lakes appear likely to dig into the North Atlantic seaboard late Thursday night. The lead mid-level trough will be accompanied by a couple of cold fronts. This includes a weak initial front, which may advance into the mid-Atlantic coast region by 12Z Friday, which is about 7 a.m. Eastern time, which is about 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, while a stronger reinforcing front advances southeast of the lower Great Lakes. As surface troughing depends on the lee of the Rockies, the western flank of the lead front is forecast to shift northward through the central Great Plains into the middle of Mississippi Valley, while the trailing front stalls across the upper Great Lakes and the upper Midwest into the northern Great Plains. At the same time, surface ridging with potentially cool, dry air will remain an influence across parts of the southeast and northwestern into the central Gulf of Mexico, with this air tending to slowly advance towards the northwestern Gulf Coast. However, a southerly return flow along the southwestern periphery of this ridge may still moisten a bit further inland into the northwestern Gulf Coast and into the high plains and east of the southern Rockies, into portions of the Great Plains and lower Missouri Valley. So this is where we're going right here, the central Great Plains and adjacent Missouri Valley vicinity. A dry line may sharpen across the higher terrain of the southwest Texas through the Texas South Plains into the Panhandle vicinity by late Thursday afternoon. This may provide a focus of at least attempts at thunderstorm initiation as moderately large cape develops in the presence of a steep lower to mid tropospheric lapse rates. However, with the dry line likely to be in the process of retreating by early evening, if not earlier, sustained vigorous thunderstorm development still seems unlikely. Enhanced low convergence near the dry line and warm frontal intersection across parts of the northwestern Oklahoma from adjacent southern Kansas seems to provide the best focus for isolated severe storm development, particularly early Thursday evening as a southerly low-level jet begins to strengthen from 30 to 50 plus knots. Although mid to upper flow will be modest in strength, veering of winds with high probability will contribute to sufficient shearing for supercells. This may pose a risk for producing large hail and perhaps a couple of tornadoes before severe hail becomes more of a prominent risk, as storms tend to spread north of the warm front along the low-level jet axis into the lower Missouri vicinity Thursday evening. Preceding this activity, this thing just updated. Preceding this activity, storms driven by force associated with the lower to mid-tropospheric warm advection spreads across the central eastern Kansas into the lower Missouri Valley earlier in the day may also pose at least some risk for severe hail. So that's the situation we have right here. I want to check the Cape values for tomorrow real quickly. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, the Cape values. Okay, the Cape values for tomorrow. They're pretty decent. They're cracking 2,000 to 2,500 at this point. So, yeah, we're a consistent area in Oklahoma and Kansas around 2,000 to 3,000 right here. So, yeah, there's definitely enough energy to fire up these storms. Depends on if that cap is strong enough. We'll have to keep an eye on that as the situation develops. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I said I was going to do to day 3 and day 4. The video is going to be too long if I do that, so I'm going to do that in a separate video for you guys to listen if you guys are interested. But with that being said, that's really going to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps me out and helps me make more videos like these. It also helps inform more of the public and gets them more prepared for thunderstorms like these. And with that being said, have a wonderful day. Stay safe.